Good morning, TGIF. It is welcome to Atlantic Blowout on Atlantic Television Network. This is a syndicated live program of the network featuring chit-chatting and conversation on special interest topics, news, events, and stories through correspondence reports, experts' opinion, and stakeholders' analysis. In the headlines for today, the first is from Oyo State. Residents scooping fuel from fallen tanker attacks fire agents. In Lagos State, kidnap kingpin Evans claims repentance, applies for mercy. In the judicial sector, appeal court affirms IPOB as terrorist group. In governance, Southeast should be thankful to Tinubu. This is coming from the Minister of Works, David Omahe. In telecom, still on telecom crisis, NLC stands against 50% tariff hike and proposes 5%. In politics, APGA dares Atiku to provide evidence of 50 million naira bribe. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our 8 and socials, on Facebook and YouTube, on Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, on Atlantic TV Network 1, on Twitter, on Atlantic TV Net, which is live on our website, www.atlantic.net.work.tv. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we will discuss the stories in details. So stay with us. Welcome back. Joining us here is no other than our regular. He's no other than Comrade Imiabe Oscar Savior. He's a national president, South Youth Initiative. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, Mr. Oscar. Thank you for joining us.
It would be nice to respond to you. It's also a pleasure. But considering what we are still facing, it will be very difficult for me to say it's a pleasure.
It's still a pleasure because you are allowed to be here.
But it's just good sitting down with you beside you.
Thank you.
And also good that God has given me the permission to be alive. But if you look at what we are considering right now, you know how HIV patients are crying recently.
Yes.
So it's affecting.
United Nations AIDS have actually volunteered to release.
I'm also very much happy about the current position of Donald Trump, the U.S. president, asking Nigerians to hold their leaders accountable and then deporting 3,690 Nigerians back to their country, and as well asking that those Nigerians schooling in abroad should go back to their school. Also shaming Nigeria for not being able to.
Nigeria was not the only country involved.
No, but Nigeria was being specialized. Nigeria was giving so much emphasis on. And he also said Nigeria up to this moment, you have a lot of professors in the pharmaceutical department, and yet Nigeria have not been able to produce its own drugs.
We will hope for better days, Mr. Oscar. Let's get right into the first story for today. Thank you so much for that. Some residents of Sabo Market in Orile, Ibon, alongside Ibomosho Ilorin Expressway in Oyo State have reportedly attacked men of Oyo State Fire Service. ATN gathered that the firefighters were attacked when they tried to prevent them from illegally scooping petrol from an overturned petrol tanker. The incident, according to sources, occurred Wednesday night. It was learned that the tanker, which was carrying 33,000 liters of premium motor spirits, otherwise known as PMS, overturned due to a tire blowout, causing a fuel spill that led to a fire outbreak. Our correspondents gathered that the firefighters from Oyo State Fire Service, Obomosho branch, were informed about the developments. The firefighters arrived at the scene but were allegedly attacked by the residents. General Manager of Oyo State Service, Mr. Yemi Akinyinka, confirmed the developments to the news agents on Thursday. He noted that the incident occurred in the presence of the Divisional Police Officer, DPO, of the area. He describes the incident as embarrassing. Are you aware of several times when there have been tanker explosions and the incident and how it turns out to be? But I really don't know the reason why whenever there is a falling tanker in the country, people run to scoop fuel from there when they know the possibility and what the outcome of the eventuality, which is fire explosion. We heard in different states that has been affected by this tanker explosion. But I'd love to get your thoughts concerning this, please.
First, it's also a very disheartening situation when we see people taking advantage of the other people's downfall or challenges. It's so disheartening that most times Nigerians want to leverage upon the downfall of others, and that has been the major challenge. Most times it has also been attributed to the fact that this poverty mentality that we face, watched carefully, and I've also seen it and heard that the situation that they embarked on by trying to scoop fuel from a falling tanker, it's risky and can also be life-taking. But a lot of them ignore it. So I think it is really a work for the NOA, even though they are not part of those agencies being recognized recently by the government, because they are supposed to be a reorientation process upon which they will go around and then try to enlighten the people. Don't take it serious. I also want to commend the current Rivers State government for putting up some level of commitment to Rivers State Fire Service to see how it can be able to improve the structural aspect of the Rivers State Fire Service. I think it should also try the best it can to improve it totally, that you can never call them for emergency and then you will get them. Well, it's not just by answering. I think part of the reason why they should answer is not just come to stop the fire or to prevent the fire, but also come there to chase away those that were scooping the fuel.
They were doing that and they got attacked in the process.
That's because they are not actually having the best structure. They are not really prepared for such scenario, because you see, Nigeria's level of economy has become so worrisome that a lot of persons are ready to do anything to survive, and that's because that's where we face. So I also want to say that the current leader of this federal government, led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, should also think of how he can be able to improve in politics. You are supposed to face governance and not politics after politics and again politics. It doesn't go down well. Other Western world, other part of the country, they concentrate more. Look at what Donald Trump has done. Just the same day it was to be
Since when the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu has had foreign trips to different countries, to have ties, developmental ties with them. In this instance, don't you think he's trying to, if he has not gotten an initiative on how to govern the country properly, don't you think he's trying to, get these ties in order to know the right way on how to put the governance of the country? Unfortunately,
the visit of Mr. President or some other Nigeria principal political leaders to other parts of the world is not to go and attract some meaningful development. A lot of situations where Nigeria travels, just like what we are hearing on the news, I don't know how true it is, but if it is true, then I'll be one of those persons that will be very much excited about it. Hearing that some of the properties belong to Nigerians in the US should be sold out or given out. To ask not to drive during the Nupen and the Ipman, what is their responsibility? How much are they sensitizing their drivers? Oftentimes you see tanker drivers who will be threatening you on the road. I know how many times I drive on the road and you see a tanker driver try to threaten me on the road with their horn, and also trying to put their head where there's no road, and also trying to see how they can overtake a small vehicle or a smaller vehicle.
And you're talking about not allowing tanker drivers drive during the day. I've heard that subsequent times, and I don't know why they have not implemented it and put a stop to it. We've had several tank explosions due to bad roads, but like this one that happened in Oyo State, the tire tanker. If there can be a way where this can be implemented, the agency, whatever that handles this, can make sure that this, because I heard that they were only allowed to be on the road at night at a specific period of time. Once it's 6 p.m. they are not allowed to be on the road, because this is actually a thing of concern to the lives of Nigerians.
I think that's where we're having problem, because we actually oftentimes we don't respect the rule of law. We also don't implement what we speak or what we actually designed to take up a particular action. So it becomes a major setback. And the Ipman and the Peng that was saddled with this responsibility of our leaders, most of the people looking out for office, they are just concerned about what they will benefit, and they don't care about whatever comes out or what the people are passing through. They're not concerned about it until we decide to be passionate about our office, until we decide to be passionate about our operational stand or background. Then we can do better. But now, just like we're facing right now, every Nigerian or most Nigerians, once you are given an appointment or given a particular position, the first thing you look out for is your personal benefit. How is this office going to benefit you? Ignoring the core purpose upon which you were appointed. So it becomes a major setback. Because if the Ipman and the Peng were actually looking at this situation, they would have at least scrutinized and then take a drastic action on any of the tanker drivers that do not respect these rules. But they don't do it. Secondly, added to the federal government of Nigeria, why are we having this kind of situation? If Ipman and then the Peng are not meeting up, what is the responsibility of federal government in terms of rural development, in terms of road construction? Because this is part of the major challenge that also might result to it. Because when you are at a bad spot, which I also have a challenge with road safety, and I keep asking, why is Nigeria road safety always standing at the bad spot of the road? Why? And then you stand at the bad spot of the road, and that is where they will ask you of your operational permit. That's what ask you of driver license. That's what ask you for all different kind of license. Always on the bad spot of the road. But I pray so hard for them to meet me on the bad spot, and each time I get down there, they will not really call my attention, because any day I am caught on the bad spot of the road by road safety, that is the day I will do my protest on that road. But going by what we are doing, we are saying it is actually one thing that federal government of Nigeria and those saddled with the responsibility of implementing this law should do the best they can to implement the law so that people can be safe. Now let's just be happy or celebrate the fact that there was no fire outburst in the course of the scooping of that oil. What if there was? That means the whole of those persons, all these persons would have been killed or burnt down.
Yes, in as much as we have called most of these agencies, ministries and whatnot to play their parts, the Nigerians should also know the safety measures. So that's one of the reasons why you find them engaging in activities like this. But we should know that at any slightest opportunity, there could be an explosion. So how much do you want to achieve from scooping fuel from a fallen tanker?
You won't blame them. It's a 50 Cent in one of his statements, or will I say motivational speech, said it that get rich or die trying. So a lot of persons are prepared to either get rich, or in the process of getting rich, they rather die than to sit back at home and do nothing. You know, when you're a family man and you have a crying child at home, and then you know very well that why your child is crying is as a result of hunger. And then, you know, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, have actually not paid attention to governance because, one, in the beginning of your taking over, within the first period or the first month of your taking over as president, a lot of people committed suicide. A lot of persons committed suicide. And it did not come to the president as anything. Now, you are a government or you are a president and your citizens are committing suicide because of hardship. It does not bother you. It doesn't mean anything to you. That's why from the beginning, I knew that he was not going to be a good president. Because if he was going to be a good president, when you notice that your citizens were committing suicide, there would have been a very serious drastic action that should be taken on how you can create succor or provide for the citizens, or for the citizens to be able to have a conducive atmosphere for them to strive anywhere they are.
And thank you, Mr. Oscar. I get the point you're trying to come up from. I'm not going to be on the side of anybody. In as much as economic value is not really yielding whatever we may want, that should not be an excuse for anybody to take his or her life. But that should not be enough reason for one to decide to take his or her life because of economic hardship. That's where our individual differences lies, okay? At this point, that's where our individual differences come to play because, one, I am not actually earning any kind of salary from anywhere, but at the same time I have decided not to join kidnapping. I have decided not to join armed robbery. I have decided not to be a Yahoo fraudster. I have decided not to be involved in any criminal activities. That's because that's my own kind of person. Now, how many persons can survive it? How many persons can stay through this situation or challenges and survive it? Now, as we speak, you are saying it this way because first, you don't have an emergency situation in the hospital where life and death is in between. Now, what about those persons that have an emergency case in the hospital where life and death is in between? And then there is no source. There is no source of livelihood. There is no source of income. Not even a good source of donation coming to them. And then you have your child, you have your family members or loved one lying critically ill in the hospital between life and death. And you understand that that is when your individual differences or your integrity also come to play. Because there are a lot of challenges that a lot of persons are facing that even in your own comfort zone, you might not be able to identify. When you get to a stage where you see numbers of Nigerians sending you account details, when you get to a stage where you see numbers of Nigerians sending you or making requests for social means of survival, that's when you know that yes, people are actually in hardship. Take for example the recent stampede that took place. What was the government or the federal government approached? Now some persons came out, let's say they are philanthropics, and they came out to say we want to give some level of palliative or assist some persons to be able to aid their Christmas value, and some persons got dead or got killed in the process out of stampede. What would have been the responsible system or approach of a responsible system of government? Is it not to actually look at the situation, what is causing this stampede and what is increasing the high rate of hunger on the land, and then look at it and then treat it, instead of the federal government of Nigeria to look at the cause of that stampede, which is a result of economic bringing down. Do you know that
now, a lot of the government place look at
residents scooping fuel from falling tankers have been on for a long time, even before the present administration?
Fine, and nothing has been done about it, because in every given situation, just like we are talking right now, we are talking about 2027, and now what we are looking at now is regional president. We are not looking at how we are going to benefit the country, how the country will move better from this level to another level. What we are concerned now, Yoruba, after Yoruba, let it be the east, after the east, let it be the south, after the south, that is what we are concerned about. We are not looking about the impact or talking about the impact of these persons on the country. They are bringing this process on, but what does the federal government of Nigeria or even the state government done in terms of creating succor for these persons?
Thank you so much, Mr. Oscar. Well, we have to move forward. Thank you so much on that. Moving forward, convicted kidnap kingpin Chukwudimeme Onwuamadike alias Evans on Thursday told the Lagos State High Court in Ikeja that he has repented from his criminal activities and has applied to the Lagos State government for mercy. Evans, who addressed the court through his lawyer, MFO Etudo, stated this after taking his plea on the amended 5 counts bordering on murder, attempts to murder, and conspiracy to commit kidnapping preferred against him by the Lagos State government. The prosecution alleged that on or about August 27, 2013 at about 10 p.m. along 3rd Avenue, Festac Town in Lagos, Evans and Joseph Emeka killed one Peter Nweke. They were also accused of allegedly killing one Chijoke Ngozi on the same day. Evans and his co-defendant Emeka pleaded not guilty to the charges against them. Etufo, Evans' lawyer, told Justice Adinike Koka that despite the amended charge and the plea of his clients, he has applied to the Lagos State government through the Attorney General's office for a plea bargain. My client is now a repentant person. He was a young man consumed by crime, but he is now remorseful. Presently, he is a 200-level student of the National Open University. In fact, he made A1 in all his papers in NECO while in prison. All this was made possible through a scholarship given to him by the federal government. My lord, we have asked the Lagos State government to give him the opportunity to go around schools in the state to talk to youths about the dangers of crime. Quickly, let me do a little bit of background study here. I'm sure we're similar to the otherwise known as the renowned gospel artist that butchered his alleged girlfriend. You know, his case is still in court, and we're still awaiting trial over the situation. This is one of many of situations that has been on, and I'm sure you're aware about the Evans situation and how the whole issue turned out. He's been in prison for a very long time now, and here he's been called back to court for his trial, and he's pleading for repentance. He's pleading for mercy in a country where you have taken life. I do not know your I know you are not a practicing professional lawyer, but I know you have idea about legal terms, the constitution, the rules, regulations, the laws, and all of that governing it. In a country where you have taken life, do you think you should be given opportunity to, after you have pleaded guilty, you're coming back to plead, you pleaded guilty and not pleading guilty. In this instance, he pleaded not guilty, and then he's asking for mercy. You already accepted that you took this life. Why should another opportunity be given to you to live well after you have taken life? Are you not supposed to, face what you have caused? But I'd love to get your thoughts in this instance. Do you think Evans deserves mercy in this instance? And what should the government put in place? Because oftentimes we hear cases of most of those people that literally committed this murder going scot-free. Is Nigeria really doing justice to those people that deserve it? Have they really actually gotten the justice in time past? Because we've had several cases about murder and how this culprits actually go on it, and oftentimes we notice that the victims do not get justice in that instance. But pretty quickly, I'd love to get your thoughts concerning this.
In the first place, when you want to plead or you are pleading for pardon, you first have to be remorseful, and it should be seen to be coming from you, not like a script written to you to read by your lawyer. First, you have to be remorse coming from the inside of you, and you won't want a situation whereby you are pleading for, so you are pleading for forgiveness, and you're not being totally remorseful. That to me doesn't come to me like he's being sincere in terms of his repentance. You cannot also say that you have repented and that you're not going to go back to crime by starting with lie. Why do you have to lie? Your lawyer or whoever said that you got A1 in the prison. How do you get A1 from the prison? You see, these are some of the things that some of us cannot really accept. You cannot say you got A1 in your WAEC, WAEC, right? NECO. You got A1 in NECO. As we speak now, NECO is expensive even now than WAEC. And you are now saying that you got A1 in NECO. When was the last time Evans went to school and studied? If he did not study when he was at home, Is it when he was in prison that he studied? How then did he go to those formulas or those calculations? Or how was he able to use his scientific calculator? His scientific
so was the environment so conducive for him that he had to study?
Was the environment so conducive, or was it okay for you to study to actually come out with A1? So that alone has actually killed the terms that they are looking for, from my own perspective. From my view, I think that alone have really said that no, you are actually not, you have not repented, and you are not ready to repent. Okay. And that's what thing we observe about some of these court leaders or cultists. You know, oftentimes we have become to have problem with our leaders, because even in security agencies, I have also said it, that our security agencies, including DSS, which they are part of, should try the best they can to provide everybody or every persons that want to apply into a security force. Because a lot of time, a lot of police officers are cultists, a lot of army officers are cultists, a lot of navy officers are cultists. In short, a lot of situations, a lot of cultists are in the military and paramilitary. And so when you see a lot of people that have been involved in one cult activities or the other, either on campus or on the street, and then you see them being the kind of person taking over leadership qualities, you start asking yourself, because these are the example of failed system, where you are given a position of trust to a failed person, then you expect automatically that the position will fail, because that is what is playing out right now. Even our politicians most times at this point in time look at this system too as one of those things. Just recently last year, I was seeing some boys parading themselves, walking on the street wearing red beret and black, wearing different flagging along daylight and also along the Aba Expressway. And we are parading with uniform, saying that they are celebrating Vikings confraternity and all of that. And then the security agency, we are saying them. And you know that these people called Vikings confraternity, these are the same set of people that are committing crime all over and everywhere. And you're letting them go. And then you allow them parade freely. And you just let them have their way. It becomes so embarrassing to some of us. Because even when you sat down, because I was opportune to sit down with at a particular spot where some of them were seated. And I have to leave. I have to walk away because I was no longer comfortable. And if I should say what I want to say, there won't be peace in that environment. So the best I could do was to walk away. So if you're taking some lives, you killed my brother, you killed my loved ones, and then you are in the court asking for forgiveness. Just like you cited the case about a renowned singer that killed his girlfriend, and the purpose upon which he killed his girlfriend was because he cheated on him, and he said he was not remorseful about it.
He actually agreed. He accepted to the fact that he killed her
and said that he wasn't remorseful. And said he killed her in the toilet, and that he wasn't remorseful. And I was looking at it. Now the challenge is that if you actually caught your girlfriend cheating on you, do you have to kill him or kill her? Why don't you just walk away from the relationship? Why don't you stay away?
Person to go back on the streets,
set free and be walking freely on the road today, and that's the kind of case. But since he was not tried in a Nigerian court, that's why he has been held responsible for whatever he was called upon, or the kind of allegations that were put on him. Now, in the case of Nigeria, we operate like this and get free. You see some persons celebrating killers. A lot of killers are living amongst us. A lot of killers are being given appointment. A lot of killers have been upgraded or appointed as senior citizens in this country. A lot of persons that are known killer, known for killing, known that this is their hobby, this is their occupation, are already living amongst us, are already living and existing amongst us, and the federal government of Nigeria are giving them protection. The security agencies are giving them protection. Some persons have not even denounced cultism. Some persons are still inside the cultism, have also killed, and they still make bragging about it, are still being proud about it, and you are still getting government protection. It happens. So in advanced election, the next you see that they will now consider him as a good person. How many non-violent youth on the street are benefiting or gaining from government? Until our government, until both federal government, state government, the educational sector, making people to rush into the educational system, then we are going to have some moral values. But since we are still trying to encourage the violent people, a lot of persons are graduating into violence, because obviously, if you are into violence, you see a lot of people giving you encouragement. People will avoid you. People will stay away from you. People will also say, that guy is very stubborn. That guy is a killer. That guy, if you near him, this will happen to you. That's the kind of government we have today. People celebrate a lot of illegal illegalities in Nigeria. Because we celebrate a lot of illegalities, it makes illegality become the master of the day. If not, as Evans knew very well that he has been responsible and has also pleaded guilty for most of the charges, though he has also pleaded not guilty for some of the charges, and then you want to ask for forgiveness. I am not God to decide his fate, and I cannot decide his fate. But if I was to decide his fate, I would tell you that he has not actually been remorseful. He's not being remorseful for saying that he's called A1 in NECO. It's a proof that he has not repented, and he is not planning to repent anytime soon.
Thank you so much on that, Mr. Oscar. In an unanimous decision by the three-member panel led by Justice Hama Baka, the appellate court affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which outlawed the IPOB. According to the court, the FG acted lawfully by proscribing the organization whose activities threatened the nation's security and continued existence. It resolved all the issues against the IPOB and dismissed its appeal for want of merit. The late former Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Abdul Kafarati, had in a ruling he delivered on September 15, 2017, outlawed the activities of the IPOB in Nigeria. The proscription order followed an ex parte motion the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, filed on behalf of the federal government. Specifically, Justice Kafafati declared as illegal all activities of the group, particularly in the southeast and south-south regions of the country. He further restrained any person or group of persons from participating in any of the group's activities. The organization, in its appeal, which it filed through its team of lawyers led by a senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Mr. Chukuma Machuku Ume, urged the appellate court to set aside in its entirety the ruling final decision of the High Court. It alleged that the then AGS had suppressed the misrepresented facts in the affidavit evidence he tendered before the court. I'm going to ask you a quick question here concerning the IPOB. The fact that the appeal court has actually affirmed the IPOB group as a terrorist group. I'm sure you're aware of what has been going on in the southeast for a very long time, with reasons that they are seeking for the Nnamdi Kanu return and release. That is another way of ending the amalgamation, or what's the word to use? The Biafran sets being recognized as a particular part of the country. They're refusing, in their words, refusing to be part of Nigeria. They want to be given their own call. Do you, in your sense, take them to be terrorist group, as the appeal courts has actually affirmed them to be, because of how they have turned out to be? In an instance, if we look at it, I am not going to make a statement, but we have seen instances, first off, from the sit-at-home order, how they have started to implement it, making sure that no business, no school, no any organization opens on Monday. In that instance, are you supposed to put that as a welcome development because they are trying to get the attention of the government? I want to get your thoughts about this, please.
Okay, I think the unity or one Nigeria we practice or we talked about is just on the paper and it's not practical. We talked about one Nigerians. We say we want to believe in one Nigeria. Nigeria is one. It's actually, in the practical aspect, is Nigeria actually one? In my own sense, in my own opinion, I would tell you Nigeria is actually not one. So let's stop deceiving ourselves about one Nigerians. We have a lot of mining going on in the north, and the north are taking responsibility of their mining, and the federal government agency is not doing anything about it. Federal government of Nigeria is not talking about it, and they're not saying anything about it. We have the Northwest Development Commission that is ongoing, that nobody, we don't even hear about them. They are not on the news any day. They keep doing their thing and they are enjoying what they are doing. So I think it is actually not good on the side of the federal government to actually label the IPOB as a terrorist group without adding the Fulani herdsmen and Boko Haram. So if you want to call IPOB terrorist group, so what happened to Boko Haram? What happened to the Fulani herdsmen? Because whether you like it or not, the what is the core or the position of the Fulani headsmen? What is the position of Boko Haram? At least the IPOB have a position, and they said this is our position. We don't want to be part of Nigeria again. So I think the best that would have happened is that as federal government of Nigeria, try a way of inclusivity and how you can include them in, and let all Nigerians, let this part of this six geopolitical zone of this country come together as one. We have the Niger Delta. Now the NDDC in Niger Delta, the Niger Delta Commission in Port Harcourt, which also was part of the Ogoni struggle, is now being seen as a general platform where those from the north, those from the east, those from all parts of the world come to make recognition and also have the appointment, get contracts, and nominate staffs and aides. Now, why is it not the same in what is going on in the north? That's the question. It's not as if I am against one Nigeria. I am not against one Nigeria. But there's a saying that goes this way. What is worth doing? What is worth doing is worth doing well. So if you want to do a thing, why don't you just embark on it and then make it proper? I think the Bola Tinubu is doing well, seriously, because he's trying to make us understand that 2027 should be a case like the case of USA, United States of America, where a sitting president lost out for an incoming president. So I think it will be a good one for us to have it in Nigeria. At least we've got it before. So if it happens again, it will not be a surprise, because at least in Nigeria we have seen a case where a sitting president lost out for an incoming president. That's the case of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and that of Muhammadu Buhari. So if you also repeat again on the side of Bola Tinubu, and then for whoever that is coming, we'll also be glad that at least Nigeria in that aspect is practicing some level of democracy, because that's totally democracy. So that's what we envisage, because Mr. President cannot claim ignorance.
Is Nigeria practicing democracy as it stands? Well,
that's what we say we are practicing. That's why I said most of the things that we are doing in Nigeria is on just for the paper. It is not practical, because if actually it was practical, I believe that Mr. President Bola Tinubu would have carefully look at the level of sentiment, the tribal sentiment that is going on in Nigeria. But what is playing out at this point in time is tribal sentiment and not governance. We should think of governance and not politics and cyber or tribal sentiment. It's becoming a major challenge that we're having. The Yoruba speaking for the Yoruba, the Igbo speaking for the Igbos, the Middle Belt speaking for the Middle Belt, the Ogoni speaking for, I think it's only Ogonis that are speaking for the whole world.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole.
We'll go back to this topic of discussion. I made mention about the sit-at-home order that has been implemented by the indigenous people of Biafra, whereas oftentimes they use violent force to implement this, destroying shops, taking lives. We've had cases of vigilante men being shot. The police and the IPOB, alleged IPO, because there has been cases that most bandits come in and you know states that they are the IPOB people, and we've had fire exchange going on in the southeast oftentimes, and at some point people stopped going home. Even during the Christmas period, some people said they weren't going home because of the whole issue that has been going on. So in that essence, if we say that this is where the appeal court is looking at to tag the IPOB as a terrorist group, do you say that is wrong?
I think you cannot look at it from that perspective.
Okay.
Because it is only their own way of making their request known.
So it's okay to make a request known violently. We know that
the process was not violent.
Trying to gain attention.
The process wasn't violent.
Okay.
The intention was not violent. The reason why the sit-at-home was actually, in my own sense, I'm not speaking for the Igbos, I'm not holding brief for the IPOBs, I'm not holding brief for Nnamdi Kanu. But what I'm saying is, the intention in my own perspective was not violent. It was just to let government know that yes, every Monday nobody should come out, as a means or as a result of trying to gain government attention or the federal government attention. If those that are forcing themselves to come out and they force them to go back, that is what the problem is. And the only challenge I have too is that those using that route to travel should be allowed to travel. That's it. Those trying to use the federal government route to travel should be allowed. Those traveling within the east should be allowed. That's where I have challenge. Oftentimes we hear a series of issues where a lot of vehicles that was traveling from either using Port Harcourt to Abuja and using the east was actually apprehended and some life was lost. That's where I think it is not totally right. But if it's about sit at home and stay at home and then observe Monday as a and a non-violent way of protest. It's actually a non-violent means of protest, because if I ask you not to come out and you don't go out to do anything, you don't go out to comment or to foment any trouble or go out to look for troubles, then it is fine. In Ogoni, where I come from, no positive impact on the life of the people. Instead of impact, we are having a devastating response that was negatively on the people, or was negatively impacting the life of the people. And then at this time, we said we don't need share. Again, we went about all pipeline vandalization. We chased share away from Ogoni land and said our gas and our oil should not be given out again. It shouldn't be by him trying to take it by force, because the people are protecting their own economy. And we said this is our condition. What we are supposed to do is to look at the condition. So what is the position of the IPOB? If they say they don't want to continue as one Nigeria, again, I should think that government should call for a currently. Congratulations to you. Now, I think it should be a good approach or a good start for the federal government of Nigeria to call for a robust meeting, upon which even Nnamdi Kanu that is also in prison should have been set free by now. This is part of the call. If maybe you release Nnamdi Kanu as a government, if you decide to say, okay, from now you are going to release Nnamdi Kanu, and then invite the same man and say, look, this is the reason or the condition upon which we are releasing you. Please go on. If the man is accused of policy, criticizing your style of governance, it's better. Can't you improve on it? Instead of improving on it, you want to arrest him. How many persons will you arrest? We came out last year to protest for hunger protest. You arrested innocent citizens and said nobody should be given opportunity to speak. Meanwhile, you and Wole Soyinka was the same person. Bola Tinubu and Wole Soyinka was the same person that protested when we were buying fuel at a very lower rate against the then president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. You protested that Goodluck was not allowing the poor to breathe. Now, you, Bola Tinubu, are you allowing the poor to breathe? The question or the answer is no. Because if you are not allowing the poor to breathe, and you don't want to see protests, you don't want anybody to protest, you don't want anybody to criticize your policy, you don't want anybody to criticize your style of governance, and you put on a tribute, we have us all to kill. That's what it means. So if you feel that the style you are using is not good, then change it. If you are criticizing your style you are using in terms of governance, change it. Release Nnamdi Kanu. Instead of calling what they call IPOB as a terrorist group, I think the best would have done is first to listen to Kanu, invite him first for a private discussion, then give him a task of going back home to invite all the stakeholders in Igbo, including the Deputy Speaker of the House of Rep, and who was the former spokesman of House of Rep, Benjamin Kanu, and all stakeholders, Oji Kanu and the rest of them, call all the stakeholders, all the who and who that is from Igbo. In very Yorubas do we have having this kind of problem. We had recently on the news, I don't know how true it is, about Sowore that is from the Yoruba land. We can see how he's talking freely. We can see how he's criticizing government and he's talking freely. I'm not saying they should go arrest him, but I'm trying to say that this is a level of difference. Yeah.
They gave him a 10 million naira bail conditions.
Now, but he has been given a bail approval. Now, what happens to the case of Nnamdi Kanu? Why can't you set him free to go back and reunite with their behalf and say, let's have a robust meeting, discuss the terms of engagement, discuss the inclusive aspect of it, and then think of how you can be able to use the opportunity to leverage for 2027. That's if you have a good intention for 2027. Thank you so much,
and that's Mr. Oscar. Well, I'd love to say something in this instance, in as much as I know I should not have a statement. Peace is priceless and terror is senseless, if I can use that word. The IPOB are trying to make a statement. They are trying to be heard, but using a violent means is actually not a necessary aspect of it, if you may ask me. I'm sorry, in as much as yes, you made a statement from the beginning that what about the Boko Haram Fulani headsmen and the new group they call the Lakurawa group that have been terrorizing the north for a very long time? Why have they not been put in? Why has so much attention not been put in that aspect? Nobody is going to cite the fact that the IPOB should use a violent means to get head, to get the attention of the federal government, but that should not be enough reason to put them as a part of the terrorist group. I think the necessary thing should be, the needs to be done here. The IPOB have actually gone out of line by killing, like I stated. There have been cases where lives have been taken businesses have been destroyed. Investment have actually started leaving the states, as some of the states as it stands, and this is really not good for the economy as it stands, and the right step needs to be taken in this instance. But instead of looking at the IPOB as a terrorist group, like you made mention of, why not have a roundtable situation with them and find out why this is going on and put a stop to it, and as soon as it can be taken. And I made mention of some bandits that actually take the place of the IPOB and say, we are the indigenous people of Biafra, we're trying to be heard, with this is why we're doing this. And the IPOB on the other hand are saying, these people are not part of us. So there has just been a contradiction in that essence. And I just feel like we should have peace in all of this, because the people that get affected here are the innocent citizens, the people that really don't have a hand in this situation, if you may ask me.
See, I think, like we said earlier, federal government of Nigeria or the government of Nigeria has never been fair in terms of governance, has not been fair in terms of welfare of the people. Because if the federal government of Nigeria was actually sincere, very sincere, the first, what are they fighting for? What are they killing for? Now, the people of IPOB, the Igbos, or the people of the East, felt marginalized, felt that this government or this part of the world, Nigeria, does not befit them again. They want to go, that they want to leave Nigeria, they don't want to be Nigeria again. If you come to ask me too, Nigeria is too big for all of this. We are too big to be called one Nigeria. If you ask me,
we're not supposed to agitate.
No, I am not agitating, but I'm looking at it now.
Nigeria is a beautiful place. We are all supposed to be in one.
I am not
to divide it.
I am not.
Let's take your first statement of
we are not dividing it today.
No. We're not going to take that. Let's take your first statement of saying the federal government should have a roundtable with the stakeholders and the heads and have a sensible discussion on the way forward and how to curb this violence that has been going on in the southeast.
Wait now, see, whether you like it or not, I'm not going to say it the way you expect me to say it. I will say it the way I feel that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And
you're not going to say it in a way that
we are not having one Nigeria in practical terms. We are having one Nigeria just on the paper. One, the mission that they are having now, is it the same to the Niger Delta Development Commission? It is not. So what are we saying? We have the NDDC where senators from Adamawa, senators from Nasarawa, like the likes of Adamawa West, Senator Aliu Ahmed, that is good in issuing threats to people. Now we have all these persons looking for how to by force themselves to collect Niger Delta resources or to benefit from an agency or federal government presence in Niger Delta. By all means, meanwhile, we have a situation where an emir in the north can call the MD of NDDC and will run like a small boy, and then go any agencies in the Niger Delta and they will start running like a small boy. So are we saying Niger Delta do the same? So is it one Nigeria? Now if you are an emir in the north, you make a call for your person to be appointed in a federal government office that operates in the Niger Delta, and it will be respected and to be given due attention immediately. Now a king in the Niger Delta, a king in Ogoni cannot do same in the north. And then you expect us to say,
why if we call that respect of hierarchy?
No,
it could be called the respect for hierarchy.
There is nothing like respect of hierarchy here. What we are saying is that we are talking about one Nigeria. So one Nigeria should be seen as practical terms, or should be seen in the practical terms. Now, we're looking at it from this perspective. If IPOB, in a way, say, okay, they want to go, and you don't want them to go, and they say they want to leave Nigeria. That has been the case of Ojukwu. That has been the case of Ken Saro-Wiwa when they were alive. When Ojukwu was alive, when Ken Saro was alive, they worked together. And that was part of what they were working for. Even though Ken was fighting for the right of the indigenous people, was fighting for the right of the oppressed, fighting for the right of the marginalized people in Nigeria and all over the world. Then Ojukwu was fighting that Biafra wants to go. They want Biafra. They want a country of their own.
Nigeria.
Now you don't want it. And you are the current president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What is expected of you is how you can have an holistic, like I said earlier, a robust engagement meeting.
Okay.
Tinubu is not always good in having a town hall meeting. At this point in time, what Mr. President would have done was first to release him the Kanu and request for a town hall meeting in any of the Igbo states.
Thank you, Mr.
Go for a town hall meeting, and then in that town hall meeting, you can call for reconciliation, call for how the East or
that the IPOBs will shift their sword and then work with the administration.
Accept space.
And accept space with you.
Thank you.
You are not doing that. You want to use violence. I don't want to go violence.
Thank you, Mr.
You want to use violence on me? You don't want to use violence on you?
No, we're not going to take that. In that aspect where you're trying to talk about, see, I made mention, I had to drop a little remark from the beginning that violence is not supposed to be with
but the federal government use violence on them
in this instance.
So by doing the federal government of Nigeria, not saying that they are terrorist group, when the Boko Haram, that is in the moment,
they have to look at the Boko Haram scenario. The troops, the federal government have actually appointed troops. They have put heads together in order to fight the Boko Haram. And we actually got a situation when they said they wanted to do a peace talk with the Boko Haram. And we're still waiting for... Some of them have actually accepted the peace talk.
Can I inform you, please?
Quickly, yes.
Are you aware that last year, more than 10 persons was killed in Ogoniland by Fulani herdsmen? Is it because we are not retaliated? Is it because we are not come up? Because okay, all right. Now, is it because the Ogonis has not come up? In Yokuru, sometime last year, a particular person, some family, a particular young man was killed by the Fulani herdsmen. In Eleme, precisely, particularly Ebugu, the Fulani herdsmen killed some persons there. And this has been going on for long. And even when the police hierarchy in Rivers State was to address the issue, they couldn't be able to hold any of these Fulani men. They were not able to arrest them. They have not been able to arrest any of them. They allowed them. So now,
how do you mean they allowed them?
Because we made a report. We made an official report to the police.
And the police did not do anything about it.
They are not arrested. They are trying to arrest them. Do anything about it?
Well, that is not a topic of discussion. I'm really sorry about that. We're actually trying to talk about why.
It is still a terrorist group now.
Yes, we are trying to
about why the so they are still part of the terrorist group. That should be seen as terrorist group. So they can be given that attention as terrorist group.
Okay, thank you so much, and that's Mr. Oscar. Well, we'll go on. Welcome back, Mr. Oscar. Before we continue, we're going to make a clear statement. Peace is priceless. In as much as, yes, we want to make our names heard, want to be heard.
Did you read the Bible?
I read the Bible.
When was the last time you studied your Bible?
In as much as we want to be heard.
Did you study your Bible?
I know the part of forgiving 7 times over.
No, that's not it. That's not even the part I want to quote.
I don't know what part you want to quote.
Now, you ask me. Maybe you might have not come across that section of the Bible.
What part of the Bible?
Thank you. They said that the part that said, the kingdom of God suffered violent, and the violent took it by force.
No, violence, I've read that part.
So are you also aware that violence can also bring peace? Are you aware that violence can...
If you involve in violence,
do you know that
you will get affected, and your members will also get affected?
Chidima,
in this instance...
Chidima, can you let me talk?
Yes, quickly.
Now, do you know very well that if we both fight, that is when you will know who is the true winner? That's when the peace
we cannot fight because you will actually overpower me. No, but that is the instance where I say
Kung Fu.
I have no training in Kung Fu. I am sorry about that. So because of your manpower, you are going to overpower me and literally win me. So there is no need to want to.
That's why you accept the peace with me.
Yes, that is why we should accept peace. That is the question.
So if the federal government of Nigeria cannot overpower the IPOB, then you call them for a peace talk.
Yes, and we accepted that. That peace talk is actually the way forward.
If people said federal government cannot take Ogoni oil by force without meeting up the demand, then go to them and talk to them.
Yes, that is we had a case where he invited but has the president invited the Ogoni and the leaders, the people of Ogoni and the leaders on a conversation, a roundtable conversation?
He did.
Yes or no?
He did.
Thank you.
But is that the way forward?
Moving forward.
Is that the way forward?
Thank you so much on that, Mr. Oscar. We have
that was not the way forward. That's not the way forward.
That is the way forward.
That's exciting.
Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi, has called on Southeasterners to appreciate President Bola Tinubu for his dedication to equitable infrastructure development in the region. Umahi made the statement while hosting a delegation from the Enugu and Anambra State caucus on the 10th National Assembly at his Abuja office. The lawmakers sought federal intervention for the completion of the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway being handled by LCC Limited and funded by MTN under the tax credit scheme. We want National Assembly members and South-East stakeholders to commend the president because this is beyond politics. No other leader has demonstrated such commitment to the region, Umahi asserted. He highlighted Tinubu's role in resolving farmer-headed clashes in the Southeast and addressing Nigeria's infrastructural deficits despite economic challenges. The president inherited 2,064 projects over 13 trillion naira, now valued over 20 billion naira. Due to the floating of the naira and subsidy removal. Despite these challenges, he is committed to rewriting the story of this country, Umahi added. Expressing sympathy, our lives lost on the uncompleted sections of the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway, particularly the recent tanker explosion on the Ugwu-Onyema axis. Umahi assured stakeholders of ongoing efforts to complete the project. I would love to. We were just having a conversation, and then you were talking about having a peace talk with the people of Ogoni and then the people of the IPO. The Southeast should be thankful to Tinubu for the infrastructural development he has put in place. I would love to get your thoughts on this, with due respect on your thoughts, please.
Thank you. But I'm not expecting anything different from David Umahi,
okay.
Because you cannot be on the federal government appointment list or appointee and then criticize the same government. So I think what he was saying was just to be able to at least address a situation that he is part of, and is also trying the best he can to see how the people will give attention to the government that he belongs to, because Umahi is not being fair at this particular time, and he's not being sincere and honest to even himself. Looking at both of them standing, who actually look like the president? Looking at Umahi and Tinubu standing, who should you address as the president of this country? So most time we have a challenge that Umahi, that actually claimed when Wike and him has several, there was a clash between Wike and Umahi, when Umahi was the governor of Borno State and Wike was the former governor of Rivers State, there was a time that both of them have a serious clash, that Umahi started insulting Wike and Wike started insulting Umahi. And one of those statements that I can vividly recall from Umahi was when he said he made millions, he has started making millions, or how many millions at his early age, and that he had made so much money. But my question now is, why is Umahi still interested in bribe when he has made so much money?
How does bribe concern that?
Now, as we speak, we are aware that he is the Minister for Works.
Yes. And
we're also aware about the slow pace of the road going on, not just on the expressway in what do you call it, Enugu, but Onitsha Enugu Expressway.
Yes.
Now we're also looking at it from the East-West Road in the Niger Delta. Okay. Now we are aware that ROCC, the same ROCC, right, was also given this responsibility of ensuring that this road should meet up a particular, should be constructed. Now there is no deadline to tell you that the government doesn't mean well, because there was supposed to be a deadline. If you are paying them money, you should give them a deadline. You should expect a duration. So what's the duration of this construction of this road? Why should we expect? Why should we be thankful to the president? Because he appointed you as the Minister for Works. That's why we should go and thank Mr. President. Because they appoint you as one of his cabinet members, that's why we should be grateful to Mr. President. Or because you, the Minister for Works, and Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu are putting heads together to make Nigeria actually have the best infrastructural development in this part in the country. Is that why we should thank him? Now the Enugu Onitsha Expressway, at the moment, how long? What is the target? What is the duration for the completion of the road? What is the duration? Now, what is the duration of the East-West Road completion? Now, we were expecting that Dave Umahi, the Minister for Works, we advise Mr. President, if there is need, especially the people of Niger Delta, where the major resources is coming from. We have 4 states. I've said it before, and I will repeat myself. We have 4 states that is responsible for this crude. Whether you like it or not, take it to anywhere. We have just major 4 states, major 4 oil-producing states, major 4 oil-producing states. And I repeat, Akwa Ibom State, Rivers State, Bayelsa State, and Delta State. Now, these are the major 4 states that are into this oil production. Every other state are part of it. Some other states are part of it. But when you talk about the effective 4 states that are into oil production that is actually giving the economy that we're having today in this country, it is this one. Now, Tinubu want to make it more, want to increase the barrel, because we have promised Nigeria that we will increase the barrel of oil production in Nigeria. And that's why we want to forcefully take over oil or do oil resumption in Ogoniland where you're going the oil 11. Now, that's what we are looking at. But then, we are not saying the people of Ogoni does not want oil resumption. I want oil resumption. I want oil resumption in Ogoniland. But then, the approach should be sincere. The approach should be an approach that the people will benefit.
So in essence, we should agree with Umahi, the Minister of Works.
We are not agreeing anything with Umahi.
Okay, so you do not agree that we should be thankful to President
Bola Ahmed Tinubu
that nothing has been done.
There is nothing that the people of Niger Delta, there is nothing that Nigeria should point out as the achievement. I can sit down here, as I'm sitting down here, I've not been able to trace out the achievement of Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Talk of that of David Umahi.
Thank you so much.
Now, since he became the Minister for Works, how many road construction has he completed? Since he became the Minister for Works, what has David Umahi as the Minister for Works achieved? This is what they have achieved so far. What can we record for him? So what are we thankful about? What are we thankful about under David Umahi? When you were in the governor of Borno State, you said you have built how many flyovers? Now that was what you said. And some, we saw the pictorial aspect of it, or we saw some of them that you actually put on the news. Now, as the Minister for Works, what have you put on the news as what you have achieved as the Minister for Works?
So
what are we thankful about?
You do not agree with Umahi that the president has not done anything because we have not seen anything in place. I would not want us to linger into the conversation, but I keep saying the statement from the president and the vice president saying that there's a light after the end of the tunnel. We should hope for better days. But we're still hoping for better days, and we'll move to the next story of discussion.
You are speaking right now as one of the product of the new agenda.
I will get your thoughts on this still, because I want us to discuss this particular story. The Nigerian Labour Congress has proposed a 5% increase in telecom tariff hike, rejecting the 50% approved by the Nigerian Communications Commission. The NLC spokesman Benson Opa said, according to him, there is no going back on its nationwide protest scheduled for Tuesday, February 4, 2025, to drive home the displeasure of the group against the recently announced telecom tariff hike. This is to halt these mindless tariff increases, and if by any chance there has to be an increase at all, 5% given the fact of our situation that there has been increase across the board. But now to say 50%, it is not going to work. Where will the ordinary Nigerians be at the end of the day when we have energy tariff increases, he said. The manufacturers are groaning. The middle class people are groaning. The ordinary Nigerians on the streets can't even afford to turn on the lights in their sitting rooms. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund have consistently advocated the removal of energy subsidies and the floating of the naira, saying failure to effect the two economic policies has plunged Nigeria into severe inflationary pressures. The telecom crisis has been a continuous situation that the NLC has been against for a very long time. For not a long time, if we say it's been on for 2 weeks now, where NCC approved the 50% increase. The telecom organizations actually asked for, Telecom Communication Commission, they asked for 100%, but the federal government through MTC said no, that they can only allow 50% with reasons that the economic situation is as it is. But we have NLC has been against it for up to a long period of time now, saying that the 50% tariff hike is too much because of the state of the country. And here they have proposed protest coming up in February 4th of next month. February 4th, February 2025, and in essence, if they said that if there has to be any tariff hike, it should be 5%, because 50% is too much. Most analysts that have been here some of them have given reasons that yes, the 50% it's not a bad idea as far as Nigeria still gets the value of what this increase is worth. Some have disputed it and said no, it is too much. I would love to get your thoughts concerning this quickly, because you have made mention about we talked about Omahi that said we have to be thankful to the president for things that have been put in place. In this instance, should we still be thankful to the president?
You see, I think, like I said earlier, an elder statesman made a statement recently in Abuja, and that's right from Chibike Rotimi Amechi. He made a particular statement and asked Nigerians, even before now, he has also reminded Nigerians that we are being too quiet about the situations that we face right now. I faith or try to see how they can be able to think or reason beyond politics and reason beyond their political interest. It will go down well with all of us. Means that all of us will be on the same page, because all this will continue to happen if we continue going different ways. But if we come together as a country, like what is going on in other parts of the world, that they come together when there is no government policy that is favoring them, they come together and then criticize the government policy together, irrespective of the fact that they are part of the government. They tell you, no, this is not expected of you, my president, and so there must be an attention given to this that will make the people feel the impact of their administration. Now, our current challenge is that those appointed by Mr. President are not anywhere asking Mr. President or asking him questions or directing him on the right thing to do. The last time I think, Mr. President, there was a video that actually ran on the social, are we doing well? And they said yes, they were doing well. As if the government, if it's doing well, that was a better opportunity to tell Mr. President, no, we are doing well like this, in this way, but we are not doing well this way. Okay. So, but if we do like this way, we will do better, and then the people will be happy with our administration. The return of Mr. President 2027 shouldn't be something that will be forced on Nigerians. It should be what Nigerians will be clamoring for. It should be what Nigerians say, Mr. President, go and represent us again because you are doing well. It shouldn't be something that Mr. President will be fighting over and all of that. So going by what LNC,
we do not have time.
So going by what the position of LNC, I think I don't want to take them serious at this point in time, even though I'll be part of the protest if they are serious about it. But I don't think I want to take them serious because I have prepared for several protests with LNC and at the end of the day I got disappointed on the eve to the protest. So for that reason I don't want to take them serious, because one, this is not the only issues we're having high rate of tariff upon. We also have it on the electricity. We have it in all ways. We have it on fuel. We have it everything. Now what has happened that LNC have not been able to take a drastic position or decision on fuel issue. Why have you not taken a drastic position on the tariff, the too much tariff on people, forcing people to go on band A and forcing people to leave band B or band C to band A, because that is band A has the highest tariff, and then you're forcing people to go on band A, making sure that everybody go on band A because you want to get some level of high rate of tariff returning back to you. That's a challenge. Why is LNC so concerned about just this one alone? Why don't you make it holistic? Why don't you look at all what the president or what is going on that is not okay with Nigerians, and then bring it up for a protest? And for the first time, LNC have what it takes to put Nigeria into a thorough check. LNC has what it takes by virtue of their structure, by virtue of how their position. LNC has a way of trying to correct Mr. President when he's not meeting up. So why are they inside the Mr. President's pocket? Now they have not made this statement so that people will know that there is LNC, because you know that if they have not made that statement, I will not remember that we have LNC again. So I think this statement is just for us to remember that there is still another institutional organization called LNC. I think that's what they are doing, because if actually they meant well, LNC will keep up to their protest. Nigerians are disappointed LNC. That's why we don't treat them or discuss their issue again.
Thank you
but then I think it's time for us to live and take our destiny into our hands, because we cannot continue to leverage or think about LNC to lead us. LNC cannot be able to lead us. But if for the first time they decide to lead the protest and they come out openly and then call out the protest and then embark on the strike, we will be part of them. We will support them the best way they can, and we'll give them the needed support.
Thank you so much, and that's Mr. Oscar. It's really a pleasure to have you here. I really appreciate your analysis, even though at some points it got more like a tussle, but it was a really fun one. I appreciate your presence being here, so I applaud you for that and your analysis too. Thank you so much, viewers, for joining us. Still, we will bring more telecom crisis. Do not forget to always stay in touch with us, because we always have more interesting stories for you. We are still open for advert placements, bookings and commercials. You can connect with